Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shalom, 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 Yasharala. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, and every glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Madah. Double honor to all the apostles of great millstone, who we love to for teaching us truth. And peace and salutation to the elect scattered abroad, and sincere Aqua and Aqua that are tuning in to the stream. Shalom to y'all. Shalom, shalom. All right, so the lesson, by the way, we're putting like you want to the Father, Yahweh Mashim Shai, to put the spirit on. This is the lesson today to keep the flock, and the Lord with us is edifying. Brothers, the Lord, Yahweh Shai, and the mouth, and the mother have been with me. All right, come out again to the spirit of Yahweh Mashim Shai. So we're watching this video, or not video, movie. Antlers, right? Antlers, and man, it's spiritual, very, very spiritual. All right, so spiritual wants us, let's do a quick review on that, and throwing scriptures that's going to prove that the scriptures are alive and well. All right, and the time you're coming into, like big trouble, you're going to be seeing something like this. Was it the fucking Wendigo? Wendigo. You're gonna be seeing the Wendigo out there and all kinds of crazy, really crazy creatures that no one has ever seen before. All right. So if you want that wisdom of Solomon, bring it up here so they can see it up there too. Oh, change the all right. All right. Get it up there and get a wisdom of Solomon. That's not letting me happen to fingers. Option. Okay, I gotta do it all over again. I don't know why I'm doing you bring up a scripture. You bring over. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 11, verse 18. Or unknown wild beast, full of rage, newly created, breathing out either a fiery vapor or filthy scent of scattered smoke, and shooting horrible sparks out of their eyes. That's 11 to 18, Junior. Yeah, this is 18. Oh shit! That was quick. Solomon, 13, 18, right? 13, 8. This is 11. 11, yeah, 11. Okay. 11, 8. Okay, to read. 8. Yeah, it's 8. 18. Newly created. Oh shit! Damn. What the hell? You got it. Oh, right. This is okay. Alright, we can read again now. And then you can read the other version again. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 11, verse 18. Actually, I'm going to start on 17, and then I'll get 18. This is verse 17. For thy almighty hand that made the world of matter without form, wanted not means to send among them a multitude of bears and fierce lions. Verse 18. Or unknown wild beast full of rage, newly created, breathing out either a fiery vapor or filthy scent of scattered smoke, or shooting horrible sparks out of their eyes. So our brothers bring this look that up. All right, let's have we got an image we can look at. This is the film we was watching called Antlers, and this damn Wendigo, right? It started off as a human being first, as a man, right? This is how he looked when he was going through that stage of right before he was about to turn into the actual Wendigo, and then boom, pretty much the human flesh was just like a shell, a cocoon and shit, and then the Wendigo actually came out. That's why you still see the face of that man on the face of the Wendigo right there. And you can read it.
Come. This is the CEB version to the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 11, verse 17 and 18. Your all-powerful hand, which had brought the world into being out of formless matter, would have been more than able to send a host of bears and fierce lions against them. Verse 18. Or they could have been met by newly created beasts that no one had ever seen before, full of rage, breathing fire, belching smoke, and shooting horrible sparks out of their eyes.
Look, even these newly created creatures are going to be capable of shooting concentrated, deadly fire, power that can kill you and destroy. All right. And that's what's going to happen in bigger trouble. Real talk, it's going to happen. You're going to see creatures that you've never seen before that's going to be roaming around seeking to appease the wrath of them that made them. What? Pretty much they're going to be in that spirit of the spirit of vengeance. Pretty much. You can get that version.
Yeah, I got another version right here. This is the CEV DCI version. This is verse 17. With your own mighty arm, you made the world out of something that had no form. And so you could have sent a lot of bears and furious lions. Verse 18. Or you could have created savage beasts just to punish them. Beasts that breathe out fire and smoke and sparks from their eyes.
And this is the spirit that they're going to be in, right? When they're out here, right?
Full of rage.
Full of rage. We're going to read the book of Ecclesiastes, also known as Sirach, right? Chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance. So spirits that are created for vengeance. Created for what? Vengeance goes into it goes into punishment inflicted or retribution exacted or an injury or wrong. And that wrong is what? All right, transgressing the laws of Yahweh Shemir. So these newly created creatures that's going to be full of rage, right? They're going to be in the spirit of vengeance, the spirit of inflicting punishment, right? For injury, to inflict injury, and for wrong. For the Israelites, the so-called Black Latinos and American Indians, right? True nationality for the Israelite. It's all your father's seed, right? They're going to be out there, inflicting punishment on you, judgment. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their theory lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Right? Specified or placate someone by acceding to their demands, all right, and appease the wrath of him, right? Him that who? Yahweh that made them. So pretty much, they're going to be given phrase out power. They're also going to be, follow Yahweh after laying those sore strokes on the wicked ass Israelite. All right, on the first, okay. And while, the thing about this film, it was so spiritual how, I really wish I could play that clip for edification purpose, but they might fucking strike that shit. But I wanted to bring up that scene where the Gadite.
Oh yeah, he was trying to tell them about it.
He was familiar with the whole Wendigo and breaking it down to them how it works, like how it moves and the purpose of the Wendigo and why it does shit and why it goes into like cannibalism and shit like that. But YouTube, fucking the internet and so fucking stupid want to strike with or clean and shit like that. But
that scene is definitely spiritual because the police officer was actually a so-called white man. He's over there talking to him, and the guy, he's telling him like, yeah, what you saw was, or what's happening in this town, what you're witnessing, is this, when he showed him a picture in a book that he had. And it was a picture, or I guess like a sketching of the Wendigo. And the so-called white man was laughing. Come on, man, that's a myth. He's like, that can't be real. Come on. And then the guy that told him, he's like, yeah, for you it's a myth. He's like, but for us, he's like, we know truly what these things are. We know what's real and what's not.
Exactly. For the verse 3 first, right? Yeah. Oh, you can go to that Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 3, what goes into like the strange apparitions. Because in the time we're coming into, there's going to be a lot of strange apparitions out there. All right, you can read that when you're ready, and I'll break down the word strange and apparitions.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 3. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions.
So strange apparitions goes into, you're going to be seeing like ghost-like images, phantom spirits, dark figures that you can't comprehend. You just can't wrap your mind around it.
No, so you're not going to want to comprehend it. You're gonna be so fearful. You probably just died because you have too much fear you have.
If you want, you can get the other version, the definition for strange and apparitions. But then you get the definition for strange definition, all right, and then apparition. So for the viewers, for the flocks, the sheep that you have watching shots, and so strange, right? It goes into unusual or surprising in a way that is unsettling or hard to understand. All right, and it says not previously visited, seen, or encountered, unfamiliar or alien.
You can get it out of here. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 3, from the CEVBCI. Damn, too much. They thought that you had forgotten and that their secret sins were hidden behind a curtain of darkness. When gruesome creatures seemed to appear, nowhere in their house or homes were they safe from the fear of terrifying noises and frightening faces of gloomy ghosts.
Ooh, read that again.
They thought that you had forgotten and that their secret sins were hidden behind a curtain of darkness. When gruesome creatures seemed to appear, nowhere in their homes were they safe from the fear of terrifying noises and the frightening faces of gloomy ghosts.
The frightening faces of gloomy ghosts. Let me show you an image. Let me pull up. You want to see an example of a frightening? Was it a frightening face? Frightening face. Let me get that real quick. Let me pull up Antlers again. Antlers movie. You want to get an example of a frightening face, right? A Wendigo, right? And the Wendigo still have the skin, the very flesh, the skin of the host that it was in, that it took over, right? Before it manifested itself to the public of its true image. This image right here. Hopefully it pops up. All right. We can read that again out.
I have a different version of it too.
Oh yeah, get it.
They thought they could hide their sins by pulling a blanket of forgetfulness over themselves, but instead they were scattered in every direction, terrified by fear and spooked by nightmarish visions.
Ooh. They were spooked by nightmare visions. And the brothers just read in the previous version, they're going to be seeing like newly created creatures, beings. What was the other one you read?
Um,
They get it real quick because that version was more like
they thought that you had forgotten and that their secret sins were hidden behind a curtain of darkness. When gruesome creatures seemed to appear, nowhere in their homes were they safe from the fear of terrifying noises and frightening faces of gloomy ghosts.
frightening faces of gloomy ghosts. All right, even though this is not a ghost, so you can actually see it.
That's
But
physical,
physical manifestation. Its true face is right here behind the skin, but it still have the face of the host that it was in.
And if I'm not mistaken, the reason why the so-called Wendigo keeps it on its face is because it wants to still be a human. It still wants to be a human being. So it keeps its host's face, and it's very, very, malevolent. It's ridiculous, honestly.
If I'm not mistaken, another like nickname, a name that also goes with the Wendigo is a skinwalker. A shapeshifter, something like that. Yeah. So it wants to be in the form of a human, but
it can't resist.
It can't resist human blood.
Yeah, it can't resist the lust for flesh. It's always gonna go consume flesh because it can't resist it.
And the more that the Wendigo falls short at lusting, at eating human flesh, it actually becomes weaker. So it's like the more flesh the Wendigo consumes, it becomes weaker
because it's not satisfying its voracious appetite for flesh.
Yeah.
It's constantly hungry, and honestly, every human being that it would eat, it doesn't satisfy it, and it becomes weaker.
And if I'm not mistaken, in the real world, when it comes to cannibalism, you know what? There's actually a scripture that goes into that too. A scripture that goes into how like they shall eat, like, pretty much. I don't know how to word it exactly, but there's a scripture that goes into how like people are going to be eating other flesh, like eating other humans, and they're still not going to be satisfied. If you may know the scripture that we're talking about, where it goes into how they shall be eating like flesh of other people, but they're still not going to be satisfied. That's how a Wendigo is. It will eat. A Wendigo is a cannibal, and it doesn't matter how much bodies you can offer it and eat. It's still not going to be satisfied. It's going to be hungry, and the more it eats, the more weaker it gets. And now the Wendigo has to pretty much look for another host. It has to.
It's basically like
and it's spiritual too. It's a spirit. It goes from a spirit that goes from one body to another body.
It's a symbiotic spirit. So symbiotic meaning it latches on to the spirit. Uses that spirit as a vessel to traverse through through this human mortal plane. But once that human being, once it has that thought for craving blood, because that human doesn't, is still fighting to be a human. It doesn't want to eat flesh. It's disgusting, but that Wendigo that's within him, that spirit that's within him, he's fighting back, saying, go eat it. And then when he does go eat it, then he actually can transform.
That's not the one I was looking for, but that's a good scripture though. But we can get that that vampire one. Yeah, that's if you look at a Wendigo, it pretty much has the same personality, the characteristic trait of an Edomite. If you think about it, they lust over blood, and not just any blood, but human blood. And within the human blood is who? The Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, because our blood, our flesh is just different compared to the flesh and the blood of the other nations. Right? It's like it's more rich. It's more nutrients, and we have melanin. We have that godlike gene in it. That's why we're considered as being a holy people. We're separate from the other nations. So that's why these fucking Amalekites and those who the world was actually given into, and this picture's out there, plain and clear, and it happened in the past and still going on today. They actually eat their meals contains of humans, and the humans are who? Hebrew Israelites. So they're pretty. If you think about it, these the Edomites are pretty much Wendigos. If you think about it, it's like it doesn't matter how much of the blood and flesh, the organs that they eat of the Israelites, they're gonna grow old and grow weak. All right, just like a Wendigo. All right, and they crave it. All right, we're gonna get that right now. Over here, and then chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12 goes 3 through 7. All right, you can read the other version. Do you have the other version? Read verse. You can read when you're ready. We're gonna get that one, and then we can close out with Jeremiah 19.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 4 through 7. You said 4 through 7?
But you said chapter 12? No. Oh, chapter 12. I'm on 17. I'm going to next. Lucky. Complete myself for the read through something. It says, it was the Father that would destroy them.
Yeah.
All right. You can read it.
This is verse 3. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our father both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. Verse 4, whom thou hatedest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices.
So whom thou hatest for doing most odious works, odious, extremely unpleasant, repulsive works of witchcrafts, all right? and wicked sacrifices, and those wicked sacrifices always involve having blood involved in it, and not just any blood. A Hebrew Israelite blood, all right? Whether you're so-called black, you're so-called Latino, so-called Native American Indian, or you may look like another nation, but your blood, your flesh, it comes from the seed of your father, or your father goes back to our forefather Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they use your blood to be part of their wicked sacrifices, right? Because we have that godlike gene in us. We have Yahweh in us, all right? You got it.
Verse 5, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh and the feasts of blood.
That sounds like, being like a vampire, a Wendigo, all right? Because a Wendigo is a merciless, murderer, all right? Not just children, but just, men, women, children, old, young, maid.
There's a he ate a children.
Yeah, he ate the bully.
Yep.
That bully that kept fucking with his son.
Yep.
He fucking devoured his ass with wood. He ate that motherfucker. All right. I just said devour. Look, it devours of man's flesh.
Yeah.
All right. And the feasts of blood. Verse 6.
Verse 6. With their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. Verse 7, that the land which thou esteemedest above all others might receive a worthy colony of Yahweh Shai's children.
That the land which thou esteemest above all others might receive the worthy colony of Yahweh Shai's children, who are the children of Yahweh Shai, so-called black, Latinos, and Indians. So we read that in King James Version, and Neilman's going to read another version so we can get a better understanding of some of those 3. And then we get that Jeremiah 19:10. That if you watch that film, Antlers, it's on HBO Max, by the way. If you have HBO Max, it's free. Go watch it. It's a little over an hour long, like an hour and 7 minutes around or so. But if you're a brother in his truth, and you watch that video, you're like, damn, it's very spiritual, very, very spiritual. It was cool how they had a guy that understood, you know, the history of how of the Wendigo. You got it.
Come on. This is verse 3. And what about those who lived in your holy land before your people settled there? You hated them because of their horrible deeds. They practiced magic and did vulgar things when they worshipped their gods.
They did vulgar things when they practiced, and
they mercilessly sacrificed children and ate human flesh and blood. They were members of a pagan cult and murdered their own helpless children. That's why you decided to let our ancestors destroy them.
They murdered their own helpless children,
so that your most precious land would accept a group of people worthy to be servants.
This nigga, yo. This nigga Esau, yo, you was fucking wicked, you evil as fuck. You threw. You got it.
This is the CEB version from the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 3 through 7. You hated the people who once lived in your holy land because of the evil deeds they were doing. They were casting spells and using drugs and performing unholy rites.
Using drugs.
They murdered their own children without pity. Those who were initiated into their secret rituals feasted on human flesh and blood. You were determined to use our ancestors to destroy parents who killed helpless beings. You did this so that the land you honored above all others might be settled in a way that the children that Yahweh Shem Yahshai's children deserve.
See that? Yo, you Edomites, yo, I'm gonna start calling you Edomites Wendigos. You are children of Wendigos, because you literally walk in the spirit of a fucking Wendigo. All you you literally desire is just to constantly feed on the children of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right.
The man that turned into an Edomite.
Yeah, the guy that turned into a fucking Wendigo, the Edomite. All right. That's literally his space right there, right before.
Yeah, you see the mustache and the beard on that
thing. The beard and everything on it still. You actually watch that scene, you're like, oh shit, damn, and you're gonna be seeing shit like this out here. All right, I'm gonna get that. And there was the scenes where the reason why the Wendigo was able to actually manifest itself, it was able to leave out the flesh of the Edomite, because at first, mind you, he had two sons, two little boys. And the firstborn, he wasn't cursed, he wasn't sick, and he was bringing offerings. He was bringing bloody meat, but from animals. And the father was able to remain like in this human form.
Yeah, because technically, we would hunt to eat, right? But he would give it to him raw, bloody
raw, not cooked yet. But then the moment he tasted human blood, which was the president of the school. It was the Edomite chick, the principal. She went to the place, opened the door like a jackass, like a typical Edomite, right? They go look for danger. They go look for that shit. The signs are written all over the wall, like, yo,
there's blood all over the wall too. She's still going up,
and she's still going up there. She see the little boy, the youngest one, because he was sick too. He had the curse in him too, and the father just came out of nowhere, bit her in the neck first, and they start chewing on her face. And I'm like, yo, that very scene, I'm like, yo, you're going to see a lot of people in that spirit, huh? They literally going to be in that primal like mindset, in the mindset of being like an actual cannibal. And they literally going to be biting on people's faces, chewing raw, while the motherfucker is alive trying to fight back. bite on the cheekbones, their cheeks, their neck, whatever they can bite on.
And once you got that taste and eating that human flesh, man, that shit goes to your mental, like you start going crazy.
Yeah, and once you start eating human meat very often, it fucks with your mindset. It changes your behavior, the way how you act, the way how you think. You know, pretty much you're no longer logical. You're more like just like a primal being. You're just like a predator.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've never seen it in the book like that.
Yeah.
Let me see your fingers. Let me see your fingers.
Yep. And
Man.
and the very moment he takes the human blood, the president of the high school, he ate literally the whole core.
He ate her in half.
Pretty much ate her in half. And that's when pretty much that when the Wendigo was pretty much able, it was finally able to leave out its cocoon.
Mm-hmm. Which is the vessel of that man.
The vessel,
yep. Truly got it.
Yep, and it manifested its actual image. It was like it's like a deer with all antlers and shit, and it's very tall. And then, but that's like, if you really think about it, when the Wendigo was constantly eating just like animal flesh, it was still in its human form, so it was still kind of strong. Pretty much, it was still strong. But the moment it started eating more human meat, more blood, it grew more weaker and weaker. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we want to bring this out right quick in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 19, verse 9. You got that? You can get King James version, and I have two other versions.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 19, verse 9. And I will come, or I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat everyone the flesh of their friends in the siege and straightness wherewith their enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straighten them.
So we're going to read that in NLT version and New Living Translation, and then the NET, the New English Translation, and then we'll go into Sedge, so you get a better understanding of those versions. You can do that. This one right here.
This is the NLT version. I will see to it that your enemies lay siege to the city until all the food is gone. Then those trapped inside will eat their own sons and daughters and friends. They will be driven to utter despair.
And the reason why I want to bring this out too, because not only that's actually going to happen, in the real world, in real time, very soon. In that film, the main character was the father. The father was one that was possessed with the spirit of the Wendigo.
Yeah.
The guy he worked with, remember, that was like pretty much like his friend, his coworker. He was actually the first meal, the first prey. Remember, he was found, pretty much in half. Like,
yeah, they found half of his body in the mine and half of his body outside in the woods.
Yep.
I think like 2 miles away from him.
Yep. And so, that was like his friend. He ate his own friend. All right. You can get the NET, this one right here. You can get that one.
This is the NET version. I will reduce the people of this city to desperate straits during the siege imposed on it by their enemies, who are seeking to kill them. I will make them so desperate that they will eat the flesh of their own sons and daughters and the flesh of one another.
All right, so let's go into the word siege, so you can better understand the word. All right. You can read it.
The siege is a military operation in which enemy forces surround a town or building, cutting off essential supplies with the aim of compelling the surrender of those inside.
You can get the second bullet.
An operation in which a police or other force surround a building and cut off supplies with the aim of forcing an armed person to surrender.
All right, so in the real world, right? They this damn Wendigo, right? this damn damn devil, you gonna eat him. He's going to use this tactic to cause people to start behaving like a Wendigo. they're gonna become cannibals,
And they'll be like, damn, you look kind of good
and
today, man.
they're gonna start they're gonna and you know people are literally gonna start eating one another because it's gonna let's say whatever city you're dwelling at, right? Whatever current city you're at, you know, let's say whatever city you're at, your city just happens to be the city where it's going to be chosen to where no goods are going to be transported to your supermarkets, your grocery spots, your bodega, right? All right, and you ain't gonna have no food. You ain't gonna have nothing to eat, nothing to drink, right? And they said how they're gonna do it to the point where people are going to start eating one another. Doesn't matter, if it's the mother eating her son, the son trying to eat the mother, the father trying to eat his whole family. The fruits that he produced, which is his children, right? But people are going to start eating their friends, their co-workers, their neighbors. People may start trying to eat their pets, their dogs, their cats, their rabbits, their pigeons, whatever the hell, right? And that's for Esau Edom to try to get you to bow down to the beast, right? To use that method to get you to be willingly to be submissive to his agenda, right? But when it comes to but according to the lesson, right? When it comes to that time of the siege, people are going to be in the spirit of a fucking Wendigo, right? Like the movie Antlers. People are going to be in the spirit of just being so hungry that they just going to just constantly be eating people. And the thing about eating human flesh, right? You're never satisfied. I'm gonna see if I can find that. It's something about they should not be satisfied when they eat the flesh. They shall eat the flesh and not be satisfied. KJV. Let's see if this comes up. Because I remember seeing a somewhere. Oh yeah, Isaiah 19, 9, 20. And I'm getting another version. That's the thing about when eating human meat, people are not going to be satisfied. Okay, yeah, Isaiah 9, 9 and 20, and I'm gonna get that in the Blue Letter Bible to get other versions. Isaiah 9, 9 and 20. You can read it when you're ready. Then we'll close out with that. No one lets me be long.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 9, verse 20. And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm.
All right, let me get that. Man, what the fuck? All right, let me get that the versions, clarification purpose, and then we'll close out. Let's see. In the T version, they will attack your neighbor on the right and will still be hungry. They will devour their neighbor on the left, but will not be satisfied. In the end, they will even eat their own children. So a lot of you who have children and you wicked as fuck, you gonna eat your child, all right? You may say now, oh, I will never do that. I love my son,
my baby.
That's my baby. That's my king. That's my man. You gonna eat that GMO motherfucker, okay? You gonna eat him, eat her. You gonna eat them, all right? Let's see another version. You get the NIV version. On the right, they will devour, but still be hungry. On the left, they will eat, but not be satisfied. Each will feed on the flesh of their own offspring. Wow, the ESV version, it says they slice meat on the right and are still hungry, and they devour on the left, but are not satisfied. Each devours the flesh of his own arm. Ooh. Let me keep looking. Oh yeah, get that amplified version. About shot, get that. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let me. Let's put this one. The. It'll just show you. The Young's literal translation. Let's see. And cut us down on the right, and have been hungry, and he devoured on the left, and they have not been satisfied. Each flesh of his own arm they devoured. I get the amplified version.
This is the Amplified version to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 20. They snapped in discord on the right hand, but are still hungry. Their cruelty not diminished, and they devour and destroy on the left hand, but are not satisfied. Each devours and destroys his own flesh and blood, or his neighbor's.
Ooh. So you want to relate that to the film first, right? The film Antlers, right? The Wendigo was never satisfied. It's like the more it kept eating on human flesh, the more it desired more to eat. He just had to keep on eating more human meat. Right? He was never satisfied, and that's how it's going to be in the real world. Bigger trouble, right? People, it doesn't matter if he or she ate a whole leg, you ate a whole foot, you ate a whole neck, you ate a whole neck, and you still ain't gonna be satisfied. You're gonna eat a whole ass cheek. You're gonna eat a whole peck, right? A whole titty. You're gonna eat some deep fried titties with the nipple still attached, and you still gonna be hungry. Right?
You're still gonna be lusting for flesh.
Yep, you're still gonna be lusting for flesh. And I noticed too, like when you start eating human meat, you know, like you start twitching, you start having like that shape. You start twitching and shit. You know, you just bug the fuck out. You got what do we call it?
The jitters.
The jitters, yeah. Yeah, yep. Yep, so Lord willing, us was edifying. We didn't want to go too long. We didn't expect it to go this long. And going straight to the point with it. All right. A lot of people in Jacob's trouble are going to be moving in the spirit as a Wendigo. And for those who, if you have access to HBO Max, I think it's on Hulu too. It's on different channels. Just look it up on the fucking Hulu. But for the brothers that in the truth are teaching, hey, watch it. You may see something that's stand out like, oh shit,
you may see something that we didn't catch. Honestly,
you can do do a little review on it. But Lord with us was edifying. We'll close out by blessing names by power and giving them much due, all praise and glory to names by power. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Call Halayim,
Lava Nawa, Yahweh,
Bahashim,
Yahweh Shai,
Bahashim,
Rakakwadas.
All right, the Bahamas, to the apostle and the elder, the great millstone, the blue, and the teach well. Most respect to the Akim of labor and works, and Shalom to you believers, to the Akim of Aqua. All right, it'll be your brothers and sisters who subscribe to this truth. All right. DTA, Abba soon. Kwam Yasharala. All right. Hey, it's night out here, so it's a new moon Sabbath. All right, so enjoy the new moon Sabbath. All right, so enjoy the rest of your night. Lord willing, lesson your night be safe, and Lord willing, we do another lesson. All right.
Wow.